on the party. Let me see your body's rocking now.
Good afternoon, I'm Bryce Peterson.
And I'm Daniel Peterson.
And we're the growers and the people who produce Esmeralda Special and the Geisha coffees from Hacienda La Esmeralda in Panama. What we try and do at Esmeralda is concentrate on quality. Quantity would be nice, but we would much rather produce a very sweet cup, a very clean cup, instead of huge container loads full of coffee. We're also very obsessed with consistency so that our coffee stays the same from year to year.
We work at it from the field all the way through the final dry milling process with multiple quality control checkpoints. From the moment, as I say, when the bean is being picked, make sure it's as ripe as possible, and several checking points throughout the depulping as well as the dry process, which is then finally done with the cupping table, where we determine which coffee meets the quality standards we're looking for, and then therefore applies to the auction of our Esmeralda Special quality coffee. We produced this year 80 lots of 300 pounds each. And again, the goal is not quantity but quality. And even though we have planted other areas and we'll have some more geisha coming into production, that will not necessarily increase. We actually will probably reduce the amount of coffee going into the auction in coming years because we want it to be the best that can come from our farms.
The additional coffee we're planting now, or that's coming into production, is always at a higher and a higher elevation. That is, we get lower and lower nighttime temperatures, which seems to be very, very important in producing the distinct flavor of the Esmeralda Special coffee variety. We're actually in the act of acquiring additional lands at even higher altitudes. Unfortunately, you reach a point where the nighttime temperatures get so cold that the plant produces very little fruit. But I think what we're going to have to do in the future is sacrifice some of that fruit in exchange for a very, very high quality cup.
That we go for.
Ever since in the year 2004, Daniel mainly discovered this unique taste to the geisha coffee varieties. We've been very aware that we're going to have to find something better always. So we have a pretty active experimental program going on with landrace varieties of coffee coming in from Ethiopia.
The first 41 varietals have come into production, and we've done the cupping. There are a couple that show potential. It's still too early to tell what can come from them. After this year, we'll have a better idea of what those will taste like at higher altitudes. We're also beginning to do a bit of experimenting on the processing, doing natural coffees, drying the coffees with the pulp and the mucilage, which is not typical in Central America in particular. Due to our weather, we have lots of rain, and it can be challenging to do natural coffees.
When we started with this, discovered this coffee 6 years ago, nearly all of our coffee was going to the United States, and it was being bought by the so-called third wave of coffee roasters in the United States. Over the past few years, there's been an enormous change for us in that the Japanese market has become by far our most important market. The Japanese consumer has become a very, very well-educated consumer and insists on an absolutely top quality coffee. We've been delighted with the reception that our coffee has had with the Japanese roasters and importers They've been wonderful to work with, and we look forward to a very long, continued relationship with Japan.
We gotta rock it now.